You brought it home 2 days ago. The date on the package says it's still good. You open it and something's off. Not rotten, just wrong. That smell, that color, that feeling in your gut that says, don't cook this. You're not imagining it. You're not being paranoid. And you're not alone. What most people don't know, what the grocery industry has known for decades and never volunteers, is that the date on your meat may have nothing to do with when it was packaged. It may be the date the store pulled it off the shelf, checked it over, and put it back out with a new label. Those are two completely different things, and the gap between them is where people get sick. In August 2025, government investigators walked into a Stop & Shop in New Jersey after customers complained about spoiled meat. What they found wasn't one bad batch at one store. They found that beef and poultry at all 5 Stop & Shop locations in the county were being stamped with the date the product went on display, not the date it was packaged. In one documented case, a wholesale box arrived in February, sat unopened in the back until March, and was labeled as freshly packaged that morning. Stop & Shop called it a mislabeling issue. The county director of consumer affairs called it a serious breach of consumer trust and fined them $75,000. That was one chain, one state, one investigation that happened only because enough people complained loudly enough. The question nobody's asking is, how many stores where nobody complained are doing the same thing right now? We looked at 11 of the most popular grocery chains in America, 6 where you should think hard before buying meat, 4 that have actually earned your trust, and at the end, the one thing you can do at any store, good or bad, that protects you better than any label ever will. Subscribe and let's grill some meat. Stop & Shop opened this entire conversation, so let's close it out properly. 5 stores. County investigators found mislabeled product dates and spoiled meat and poultry waiting to be placed on display, not pulled from the floor, waiting to go out. Expiration ranges stamped beyond what the wholesaler itself recommended. A box delivered in February that sat in back until March, relabeled as fresh that morning. Here's the detail buried in the investigation report that nobody covered. When officials asked how this was happening systemically, across 5 locations, they found that Stop & Shop had eliminated in-store butchers. They'd shifted to pre-packaged product prepared by off-site wholesalers. No butcher means no one whose job it is to evaluate the product every morning. The person who was supposed to catch this had been cut from the budget years earlier. Stop & Shop is in a lot of neighborhoods where it's the closest option. If that's where you shop, you don't have to stop. But buy meat you'll cook tonight or tomorrow, not later this week. And if a package has liquid pooling in the tray or an edge that's gone gray, that's not your problem to take home and figure out. Leave it. January 2026. A man named Jimmy Rigg picks up a package of chicken at Walmart. The label says 4.6 pounds and $19.20. He walks to the in-store scale. The scale says 2.37 pounds. He goes back down the aisle. A ham labeled 5.34 pounds weighs 2.25 pounds on the same scale. He does this at 3 different Walmart locations and finds the same pattern. His videos hit 3.3 million views. USA Today ran an investigation. The brand on the ham, Kentucky Legend, issued a statement saying the error came from a 5-minute window on one production date. Rigg pointed out the mislabeled products came from multiple brands and multiple dates. Walmart declined to comment on the ones that weren't Kentucky Legend. This isn't Walmart's first time in this situation. In 2024, they settled a $45 million class action for overcharging customers on weighted goods, including meat. They paid it, changed the policies apparently. But the TikToks from January 2026 say otherwise. Then there's October 2024. Bruce Pack, a ready-to-eat meat producer out of Oklahoma, recalled nearly 12 million pounds of product for possible listeria contamination. These aren't steaks from the butcher counter. These are the grab-and-go chicken salads, frozen burritos, and pre-made pasta bowls that fill the refrigerated and freezer aisles of nearly every major chain. Walmart's Great Value and Market-Side brands were on the list. 12 million pounds of product that had already moved through the supply chain into stores, into carts, into homes, into some people's bodies before the recall was even issued. Listeria isn't a 24-hour bug you sleep off. For anyone with an immune system that isn't firing at full strength and that describes more of us than we'd like to admit, it's a genuine medical emergency. The CDC doesn't use the phrase life-threatening lightly. Walmart is the largest grocer in America because they mastered logistics. Logistics and meat quality aren't the same skill. Target started selling groceries in 1995. Fewer than half their locations have a full grocery section. Meat at Target exists to make the trip feel complete, not because anyone at Target corporate has spent meaningful time thinking about protein sourcing. The Bruce Pack recall hit Target directly. Their Good and Gather brand, the premium private label line, priced to imply better standards, appeared on the exact same recall list as Walmart's store brand. A product that charges more to feel like more got caught in the same contamination event as the brand it's supposed to be an alternative to. In 2023, Target was ranked last among major grocery chains for meat quality by a consumer research group that evaluated 20 chains on sourcing transparency, grading standards, and customer complaint data. Not near the bottom, last, 20th out of 20. That ranking existed before the Bruce Pack recall. The recall confirmed the assessment. There's no butcher at Target. There's a refrigerated case stocked with pre-packaged product from the same industrial suppliers you're trying to avoid. If you're already at Target and need something in a pinch, check the label, check the grade, skip anything pre-marinated or pre-seasoned where you can't tell what's underneath. But a dedicated trip to Target for meat makes about as much sense as going there for a haircut. They might technically offer it. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. Kroger is the largest traditional supermarket chain in America. Most of the beef and pork in their standard cases comes from JBS and Tyson Foods subsidiaries, the same industrial processors supplying most major chains across the country. The package says Kroger. The facility it came from is a different story entirely. In April 2026, the Department of Justice confirmed a criminal antitrust investigation into the 4 largest beef processors in the United States: Tyson Foods, Cargill, JBS, and National Beef, for potential criminal anti-competitive conduct in how they purchase cattle from ranchers. No charges have been filed, and the investigation is ongoing. But these are the companies whose products are currently sitting in Kroger cases, and Walmart cases, and Albertsons cases, and most of the major chain meat sections in America. A lot of you shop at Kroger, and that's not changing. Here's the workaround the store won't advertise. Kroger's Simple Truth organic beef is sourced from grass-fed cattle, raised without hormones or antibiotics, certified under USDA organic standards, with the sourcing documented on the label. It sits in the same meat case as the standard Kroger flour product, which comes from JBS and Tyson subsidiaries. Same store, same aisle, completely different supply chain, completely different standards. The Simple Truth beef is leaner with a stronger beef flavor than grain-finished commodity beef. It won't have the same heavy marbling as a grain-fed steak, but nothing in it required a chemistry explanation to produce. It costs more than the standard Kroger product, but it's the honest option at a store that sells both. In 1992, ABC Primetime Live ran undercover footage shot inside Food Lion stores, employees grinding expired beef with fresh product and repackaging it, fish soaked in bleach to kill the smell of spoilage, old chicken covered in barbecue sauce, moved to the gourmet display, a deli employee telling an undercover reporter on camera, "Sell the bad stuff first." Food Lion lost over $200 million in market value. They sued ABC, not for defamation, not for claiming the footage was inaccurate, for trespass. The footage itself was never disputed in court. Here's why 1992 matters in 2026. It's not ancient history offered as a grudge. It's evidence of a pattern. A company that responded to documented product fraud by suing the journalists rather than addressing the practice has told you something about its institutional priorities. That institutional character doesn't reset. In February 2026, Food Lion recalled ground beef from a Virginia store because fragments of black rubber from a damaged processing gasket entered the meat during grinding. A physical contaminant that basic equipment inspection is supposed to prevent. 34 years. Same category of failure. Product that should not have reached the customer, reaching the customer. The details changed. The direction of failure didn't. If Food Lion is your closest option, buy for tonight. don't stock up. Don't plan to freeze it for the week. And if a package has pooling liquid, gray or brown edges, or a discount sticker sitting on top of a price that's already low, walk past it immediately. The store is telling you something with that sticker. Listen to it. The most dangerous place to buy grocery store meat isn't any single chain. It's the industrial commodity supply chain that sits behind almost all of them, and the decision to buy from it without any meaningful layer of quality control standing between that system and your kitchen. October 2024. Bruce Pack processes ready-to-eat chicken at a facility in Durant, Oklahoma. Between June 19th and October 8th of that year, that facility produces product contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes. The contamination isn't caught until routine USDA testing flags it in early October, more than 3 months after the problem began. By the time the recall is issued, 11.7 million pounds of product have already shipped. That product went to Walmart, Target, Aldi, Trader Joe's, Kroger, Costco, He-Bee, Giant Eagle, Sprouts, Amazon Fresh, and school cafeterias across the country. Nearly every major grocery chain in America simultaneously with the same contaminated product. One important distinction before you abandon every chain on that list. Bruce Pack produces ready-to-eat processed chicken, packaged, pre-cooked products, not fresh meat from a butcher counter. The Sprouts, H-E-B, and Costco fresh beef programs that appear in the sections coming up are luckily a different supply chain entirely. Fresh beef cut in-house from whole primals is not what Bruce Pack was producing. But Trader Joe's frozen orange chicken, the grab-and-go rotisserie products, and the deli counter pre-sliced meats at nearly every chain on that list, those are the ready-to-eat category. And that category failed simultaneously across the industry because it runs through the same handful of processors. That's not a rogue processor having a bad day. That's the industrial food supply chain operating at its designed scale. Maximum efficiency, minimum cost, continent-wide distribution, until something goes wrong. At which point the scale of the failure is 12 million pounds, and it's already in your freezer. Every single case we just covered comes back to one decision. The choice to eliminate the person standing between you and something that should never reach your cart, aka the butcher. The person who touched the product every morning, evaluated it with their own hands, and had their professional name attached to what went in the case. That role has been quietly removed across the industry and replaced with prepackaged product from processors nobody's watching closely enough. Subscribe and check out the grocery store cheat sheet in the description. It's everything we expose on this channel in one printable guide. Now let's get to the supermarkets you should buy your meat from. H-E-B operates almost entirely in Texas and makes no apologies for it. Regional sourcing where possible, a meat department with staff who actually know the product, and beef and pork quality that rivals dedicated butcher shops. When your customer base knows brisket the way Texans know brisket, you either show up or you lose them. H-E-B shows up. If you're not in Texas, H-E-B doesn't help you directly. But here's what it tells you. A regional chain that stays close to its sourcing and keeps real people in its meat department can consistently deliver what a national chain optimizing for logistics cannot. Whatever regional chain is closest to you, look at whether they cut fresh in-house, whether someone is visibly working the meat counter, whether they can tell you where the product came from. Those questions separate the operations that care from the ones that don't. Regional often means closer to the source. Costco moves beef fast enough that the dating problem mostly solves itself. Turnover is the best freshness guarantee in the grocery business, and Costco has it. Beyond that, the grades. Most supermarkets sell USDA Select, the minimum of what's commercially available. Costco sells almost exclusively USDA, Choice, and Prime. And because they purchase in massive volume, they charge what other stores charge for Select. You're starting from a meaningfully higher quality baseline and paying less for it. The Bruce Pack recall reached Costco because it reached nearly everyone in the ready-to-eat packaged category. Costco's fresh beef program, whole primals, cut in-house, real grades, is an entirely different supply chain from the pre-cooked packaged product that Bruce Pack was producing. Buy a strip loin, buy a whole ribeye, portion it at home. You'll eat better than most steakhouse customers for less money per serving. One honest note, Costco's chicken isn't the standout that the beef is. For beef specifically, it's hard to beat at any price point in the conventional grocery format. Wegmans is in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. They have the most loyal grocery customer base in the country, and the reason isn't complicated. They kept the butcher, trained staff at a real counter, direct sourcing relationships with farms, not brand names that belong to processors, but actual farms with documented standards. When you buy meat at Wegmans, you can often trace it to a specific origin. That traceability is rare at any scale. If you're not near a Wegmans, apply the principle wherever you are. Ask your nearest grocery store whether there's an actual working butcher at the counter, not someone stocking the prepackaged case, but someone who can answer a question about the product. If they can, that store is running a different operation than one that can't. That one question is the fastest filter for meat department quality you have access to. At Kroger, at Walmart, at Stop & Shop, the good option exists. Grass-fed, antibiotic-free, no added hormones. You can find it if you look for the right label and pay the premium. The default is industrial. Quality is the upsell. At Sprouts, grass-fed is just the meat department. Antibiotic-free is just the meat department. You don't hunt for it. You don't pay extra to find it. The standard is set at the category level, not the product level. And that changes everything about how you have to shop there. You don't need to be an expert. The floor is just higher. The Bruce Pack recall reached Sprouts because Sprouts carries ready-to-eat prepared products from industrial processors. And that's where the failure lived. For fresh beef, chicken, pork, and lamb, Sprouts operates from a different set of starting assumptions than anything in the conventional supermarket category. If there's no Sprouts near you, Whole Foods operates the same way. Strict no antibiotics, no added hormones policy across all meat, no exceptions. It runs expensive and works better for special occasions than Tuesday night dinner. But the same principle applies. When the floor is set at the category level, you don't have to read every label like a research project. Watch the Sprouts weekly ad. Grass-fed ground beef goes on sale often enough that the price lands close to conventional meat at other stores. That's your everyday option. That's the one that doesn't require settling. You bring meat home because you trust the store you bought it from. That trust isn't always earned. The simple rules are, if there's a real working butcher at the counter, that's a signal worth following. If the chain can tell you where the meat came from beyond the name of an industrial processor, that's a signal. If the quality standard is the baseline for the whole department rather than a special label sitting next to the commodity product, that's the signal that matters most. And if your store is one of the chains in the first half of this video, that's a lot of people's reality, and that's okay. You don't need to rebuild your entire grocery routine. Buy what you're cooking tonight or tomorrow. Trust your nose over any date on any label. Look at the tray before you put it in the cart. Pooling liquid, gray, or brown edges, a markdown sticker on top of an already low price. When you see those things, the store is communicating something it can't say out loud. Walk away. The supply chain is engineered to protect shelf life. You're trying to protect your family. Those priorities aren't always the same thing. Comment B2E if you made it to the end. Subscribe to support us and check out the grocery store cheat sheet in the description. It's everything we expose on this channel in one printable guide. Thanks for watching.